Governor Lujan Grisham. What about New Mexico? How are you doing out there?
No, we, as my good friend and colleague, Governor Baker, mentioned that we were leading, and now all of these fantastic governors and so many more are chasing us or eclipsing us. And this positive, as you say, Mr. President, approach to getting every American vaccinated is making a difference. And we are effective collaborators, and with your team and Jeff Science and others, it provides the kind of ecosystem for us to leverage any number of best practices. And as I can tell you that we're going to meet your goal and exceed it by first shots, 70% by July 4th. And we've made a statement that by July 1, we're going to hit all of our targets. But I want to tell you, for a multicultural, a minority majority state, 23 sovereign nations in New Mexico, Mr. President, and they're going to have 70% or more of their population with 2 shots by July 4th, and probably earlier. And we have some sovereign nations that have a 95% 2 shots in arms, fully vaccinated population. And it's been a very effective partnership with sovereign nations, Indian Health Service, so the federal government, and your COVID team under your leadership. And it's made a remarkable difference because they were being hit hard. But I'm going to focus on a couple of things that we did a bit differently that I think really contributed to our ability to make sure that we were equity focused and equity driven. We had the first in the nation registration system. And while I do agree it's registering for a 16 or 17-year-old may not be optimum, I was actually pleasantly surprised at the number of New Mexicans who early registered for a vaccine. And that data then allowed us to see whether or not we were getting minority populations, whether we were getting to rural and frontier areas in the state, whether highly concentrations of extreme poverty, whether we were getting to those areas, which meant that we could then drive vaccine, both access and delivery, to those populations. And like every state, we used that system to do now walk-ins and pop-ups, and any business can get on our site or call us or communicate with us in any number of ways, no wrong door, and we'll come to you. We'll set up automatically a vaccine site, as you've heard, at a church, at a business, at a grocery store, at a library, at a pediatrician's office, anywhere, everywhere in the state, and we're also using mobile clinics. The third thing that we are doing that we believe will also continue to do that equity-focused investment, we set aside 25% of our vaccines at the very earliest to make sure that we always had equity-driven vaccine access. But New Mexico has more than 50%, more than half of our population, Mr. President, is on Medicaid. So now we can use that Medicaid data, and I can tell you both from an equity standpoint and just an access standpoint, I can tell every primary care physician who in their patient population is yet to be vaccinated, and push those vaccines into those doctors' offices by utilizing Medicaid information. And it's that same utilization data that tells me who's on hospice, who's homebound, who's got a disability, so that we can continue to make sure that we close the gap every single day in terms of New Mexicans who are yet to be vaccinated. And I also think that the equity numbers can improve by many of the incentives that you're hearing about, and I'm going to use Medicaid as another tool for incentives. You can, in Medicaid, have kind of a points reward system for people to engage in improving their health outcomes. So we maximize, we give you more of those points so that you can buy sports equipment for your family and kids, so that you can engage in fresh farmers markets. And this is another way that we get these really hard to reach populations using Medicaid as a huge driver in our registry system. So data, making sure that we're pushing vaccines into the communities and then into the arms of New Mexicans every single day. And it is working. And so I'm very proud of those systems that we've stood up, and we're using every single other thing that the other governors have talked about. And we're committed, Mr. President, to all of us continuing this collaboration. Every time somebody has a good idea, I heard about hunting and fishing licenses, I'm on it. So every time somebody has a good idea, we're deploying it, and we appreciate your support to do that.